Now you like spot on Rasta Bira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rasta Bira moving like an army of one. People champion, W like spot on Rasta Bira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rasta Bira moving like an army of one. This year one year is about a little Rasta Bira. One man in a collusion, truly the root of my yard. So survivors, psychics couldn't handle the pressure. Even when they bout it, we still know what under. We know we big group. Last year we know we in Japan or the one day from China. We have fans all over, Bunga, Razal and Liga. CY and Francis that we sponsor. Living up this stamina, we see no banana. Could I win this race in one hour to come? We know we bash like the unknown sun. The crowd back when the battle hit the water. No retreat, no suffering. To a many people, there's something we remember. We don't follow trend, we that trend setter. Definition after Rasta Bira. Rasta Bira is the people's champion. I realize spot on Rasta Bira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rasta Bira moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize spot on Rasta Bira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rasta Bira moving like an army of one. This is a great thing. Major props to Belly King. Thanks to all the love when we get from love and friend. But this is a warning to the cheap pretending. To get in the river with me if you can't swim. Next year we back again. This time we all the station prize including the bullet team. It's amazing when the bell ring. From a little note, they try to hang on like static clean. That's the way the people's champion. I realize spot on Rasta Bira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rasta Bira moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize spot on Rasta Bira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rasta Bira moving like an army of one. Oh gosh. Wine. To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. No, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump.
Big tune, big tune, big tune. But I was clicking on another link there. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
had the same problem.
I don't know where to go on, and I was in the room waiting.
Yeah,
I'm getting a
yeah.
message that you'll be let into the room soon, and I'm sitting there, but I'm seeing a blank screen.
Yes,
So I was
yes,
wondering.
yes.
I think CY might have sent out an
All
old link,
Yeah, I
but
think that.
nevertheless, we're on. G. Michael Reed here. Greg Morrison in the house. Good to see you early, my brother.
Good
Um,
evening, sir.
Next week, of course, we'll be at an hour off. So
Oh, time change.
time changes, yeah.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we're gonna we'll hold steady to the schedule, correct?
Yes, we do.
And
We
you
do.
just come on an hour later at
Yes,
6 as opposed to 5.
that's
And
correct.
in New York City it'll be 9 as opposed to 8. So
Yes.
we have to make a note of that and remember that. Election day in Belize City. We're not gonna see Joe, and I guess until he gets off of the radio because he's on Love FM doing a show. Oh,
Yes,
look
yes,
who's in
yes,
the house.
yes.
Uh,
I
man,
think Miss
Richard Dickey Bradley. We've been asking for this gentleman incessantly. I mean, just over and over and the hair, boy, the man busy, the man can't come through yet, but he come at some point, and
Yeah.
there you go. Just up.
Good
Dickey,
night. Good night, gentlemen. You can hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can
can hear
hear
you
you.
well. Thank you.
All right. I got to dash out around 8 o'clock because I had a previous commitment with Jules when I received your guys' invitation, which I would have preferred, by the way.
Well, we
Thank
honored that,
you.
that you would
Thank you.
accept even that hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
I must mention to you that when I came into the door, our esteemed colleague who said Joe Cowie, no ordinary Joe, is on Love FM,
Love FM, that's channel one.
Okay.
and he is offering some excellent analysis that is deeper than anything that we have ever gotten or will get on the municipal election and the whole political landscape.
That's
So
wonderful.
I sent a text to Rene Villanueva asking him if he could have Joe on one of these mornings so a bigger audience can appreciate what he's saying. No, well,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
G Mike, you know Joe. He is a thinker like yourself.
He's a reservoir of information and experience.
Thanks for that kind of.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a bright fellow.
In fact, he just quoted Machiavelli.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
quotes everybody. He loves Marcus Aurelius. Socrates, Plato, the whole guy. He runs the
And
gamut.
he quoted Marcus Aurelius as well.
Yes,
very
yes.
short space of time, no? So
Yeah.
he's in flight. He's
Yeah,
in
man.
flight.
He's in
But
fine shape. Yeah.
but I made a note. I couldn't get him word for word because I came in and caught him in flight. But basically, the quotation from Machiavelli is to the effect that those who benefit from the system, I
Mhm.
think he used another word,
Yeah.
but those who benefit from the system are the ones who will fight to keep it.
Exactly so.
And he was and there's another sentence to the quote which I missed, but this is what I love about Joe. Joe is very profound, and that is the kind of discussion that you guys are having on Wednesdays. The couple of Wednesdays I hear you, but it is also, as G Mike would know, this is something that Joe has been reading about and developing his own views and seeing how we could apply it to us in Belize. Because what I heard from the on again, off again attempts to try and follow what was happening today. And G Mike, I thought I heard you on the same Love FM.
I was on there from 11 to 2, 2
Wow.
to 3 this
Wow.
afternoon. Yeah.
Wow. That's
That's
a monopoly of ideas.
Why? Well, listen, I did on TV more than Chester, man.
No, boy, he just come on 2 times just now. He did arrange you have to wait for can. According
He
to
works
Jules,
hard. He works hard.
according to Jules, he was doing a tour today to see how his officers are handling
He works
themselves.
hard. He does work hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's ended up in Orange Walk where he is right this moment. He just gave an interview a few minutes ago, and in Jules' view, he's lurking around Orange Walk so he can be one of the first to congratulate the Prime Minister on the win.
Oh.
No, he just likes tacos. They get him on a break. He likes tacos.
There's a little bit more to that which I'm sharing with you guys and your listeners and viewers, is that he has every intention to jump in the political arena
I'm
for the
sure.
And
upcoming
nobody's going
general.
to be surprised.
Yeah.
That
No,
would
but
surprise no one.
it would explain why he's in Orange Walk.
And that would explain then which party he plans to jump in on.
Well, that is very clear. He plans
That's
to jump
known.
in on what appears to be the winning side.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's being encouraged to tackle the leader of the opposition and mess up.
Make we get you.
Or
Oh, make we take your task on that. But
or
let me first welcome our viewers and those who come in on a regular basis. We have a nice crew of an audience, if you will, that's regular with us, and we want to say thank you very much. Evening, Leela,
yeah,
even Ernest Brannan, that's my buddy right there, and
Ernest.
yeah, Bandigo they call him, man. He's one of the
He used,
Brannan
he used to
boys.
play football. He used to play football years ago.
Yes, man. It's
And how
funny.
Deetra Gillett, she played what
I think
the good old days.
she played cricket and she played
Yes.
badminton.
Bowling, right?
Bowling, all right, bowling if you say so, but yeah,
I don't know, but
yeah,
I think she likes to mess with the ponies too.
yeah. Oh, the races, the horses, you got aqueduct.
No,
Um,
she has horses, I think.
Dickie, any prediction?
Sport of
Any
Queen.
prediction, Dickie?
It's difficult because I didn't really like had my hand on the pulse, but um, there is. I'll come back to the little problem. There's two things that jumped out on me. If it is a low turnout, that is bad for the opposition party.
It favors the incumbent, you think?
Yes,
Yes, it usually does.
like Joe said, the people that
Yeah,
benefit from the system are more likely
are
to
fighting
participate.
fighting to keep it alive and well, no?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
but I
So
don't know.
there is not
Does one have a bigger war chest than the other? You think? Is that it?
by far
Always,
the
always.
incumbent always. I mean,
And
the
people's money
opposition
they
has got
use. Then OPM, other people's money then they work with.
always.
Yeah, so,
Always.
yeah,
Wealthy people don't use their own money, they're always taking ours and
exactly. Exactly. People don't spend no money. Listen,
that's right.
I'm going to talk about that though. But does it maybe expose a disillusion from the voters? I'm not feeling that enthusiastic
Okay,
election air.
what happened to us is that we got, when I say we, the country got the results and the percentage of voters up until 5 o'clock. But the
Right.
additional amounts that came between 5 and 6, because they had to close the stations and hurry carry ballot box at the counting areas, and so that information has not been available so far.
And
We do
it
know,
might be a bit because Creole do everything last minute.
yeah, well, that is our culture.
Yeah.
And it's quite likely that quite a number of voters turned out between maybe 4:35 and 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
Because my personal view, and I'm hoping it comes true, is that the low turnout also would have signaled that the young people in the country have turned away from the party political landscape.
And
That
we've been hearing that as an anecdotal reference
yeah,
continuously during this season. Yeah.
But can they turn away from the partisan landscape without turning away from politics altogether? And politics certainly is important.
well, two different things. One is turning away from this particular election, which does not necessarily mean that they have taken their eyes off what is going on in their country.
Yeah.
But I could confess to you, I did not go to vote and had no motivation to vote or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
And
the feedback I get from the young people in my neighborhood, and by the way, your neighborhood, G Mike, I hang out right around the corner from your park.
Okay. You will.
And I let me make a note, because George Price was always tell we keep a little piece of paper in your pocket with a
But that's
pen.
important. Not rely on your memory. I'll tell you that.
Right, right. So let me write down. I'm writing down G Mike Reed Playground and Park in the South Side,
Uh-huh.
because that's a huge thing, my brother. I want to make a big issue of that
But that Charlie
on
Burton Park.
national television. No, that shows you how the community can do so much, as opposed or as compared to the fact that so many of us have been brainwashed into believing that it's only the political parties or only the political city councils and town councils that can put in a little playground and a little park and do some basic thing for us which we can do ourselves. It
right.
is a disgrace, G Mike and Greg, that we we are having municipal, like it's all across the country. We're having
Hmm.
municipal elections
Hmm.
for which the registered voters are 101,000, which is about
Hmm.
half of the overall
Right.
electoral list, which stands at 199,000 right now.
Right.
that we're having an election involving 101,000 adults. And I stand corrected, but nobody they discuss any issues. The, the opponents who are seeking to be in office
Yeah.
have fallen for the bait, and it is a good thing, of course, that the election is to be a referendum on the general government, the
Vote them
national
out.
government.
Vote them
Yes,
out. Vote them out.
PUP bad for Belize, which is
Yeah.
true, but UDP bad for Belize too.
Well, indeed.
And PUP has to go and they give us a litany of the wrongs that they have been doing.
Every
So
election.
if the PUP wins the municipal elections, um, it would be a rebuff of that approach. And I'll come back to it.
Either that, or we're happy with them being no good.
Well, you see, if it turns out that it is a low turnout in the elections, then what you say is 100% accurate. But if the figures jump from 39% overall, roughly,
To close to 50 or so.
to yes, to around 50, I think somewhere San Ignacio, which is a heated area, they probably they're around 56.
But fellas,
But, but yeah.
is it a referendum on Shine's ability to lead the UDP if the UDP does poorly in this election?
Well, let me say a couple things about that. Um, he would have some. He would have some. He and Commander Flack from John Saldivar and Patrick Faber and their whole supporters, because they have a vested interest in trying to show him up and to replace him. In my personal humble opinion, they missed the boat on that, because when they had him down and in a corner, they all
They
agreed
fought.
that we will not move out until after the general elections, that we will see how he performs. And of course, if he doesn't perform well, then they would have something of substance to say to their membership, which is about half of the country. One good thing about Belize's limited, crippled democracy is that the two parties are basically evenly matched in terms of numbers, and voters only swing one way or the other based on their disgust and frustration with who is in office. Because we're only changing Black Dog from Monkey and 6 of 1 for half a dozen other one. We're making no headway in the country, you know.
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
I'm watching a couple of areas, Dickie. Number one, Belmopan, which had a PUP city council, and they decided to not have her run again, or they wanted her to do a convention, and she refused, and as a result, she's not running. The other area for me, Dangriga. I'm all right. Dangriga now.
yeah.
There's a gentleman, Lucas, running for mayor for the UDP. Now I googled his name, and what came up this is of interest to you, Greg. He's a Belizean American who served time in the U.S. Marine Corps and is running. And I don't know if that. And I was supposed to get that article in the that section of the Constitution that deals with it. Does it prohibit them from running in that level, or only in the big
Actually,
election?
nothing prevents you from running. You know,
Well, yes, it
if you
does.
no,
Yeah.
if you're a
Yes, it does.
citizen,
Yes,
if
it
you're a
does.
citizen, if you're a citizen, but
Uh-huh.
but
Well, if he got in the army, in the military
That's
in
what I'm
America,
saying. I think
yeah.
he's a citizen, but
oh, I see what you're
that's not
saying.
the point. What I was getting at, I
But
want
but
you
it
to.
doesn't stop you in municipal. It
Well, yeah,
didn't. The
Correct,
bar
doesn't
didn't.
he?
all right. So here's something that will though, because the Ambergris Key Press ran a story in 2005 where he was convicted of crimes. One
Where?
was recruiting
Where?
Belizeans in the U.S.
Oh, well, come because Shine is also convicted in
Well,
that.
that too, yeah. But this, I mean, an interesting thing, though, because it dealt with recruiting people, Belizeans, and giving them fake social security cards and fake IDs.
Oh,
He's trying to assist. He's trying to assist the migrants to get into America.
Dickie,
Might not be
man,
a
Dickie,
bad
man,
thing.
Dickie, man. Anyway, all
Listen,
right.
I
I'm
see,
just saying.
hold on. I see Vanessa Zetina Cranny
Uh-huh.
on your screen, and I see Amy Galvez, and I see Miss, the name just moved,
Lisa,
Castaneda.
Lisa,
And do you
Lisa.
know these people?
Huh?
Lisa's here.
You know,
Well,
you
I'm
know.
here.
we're all Belizeans.
Okay.
Garrett Gillett has just put in.
All right.
Look like
So,
somebody I would know.
but not run funny conversation and read nothing on the screen.
No,
Maybe,
but I would make a big
maybe.
fuss over that, because you mean he's running on the UDP ticket or the blue ticket?
Well, does it matter?
Yeah, because if you don't win, then it doesn't matter.
Well,
If you win, we have a problem.
I don't know, though, Dickie.
Yeah, if you
No,
win, we have a
no,
problem.
no, man. Yeah. All right. If you win, you could address the problem.
All
But
right.
whether you
Yeah.
win or not, being allowed to run might be. I don't know if we don't need to vet our candidates more. And Joe was making the point that if you go for a job that Boeing and Boeing, Mr. Boeing want to know what you mean to do with your history. Give me a resume, bring a few references for me and whatnot. None of that is necessary when you run for politics. But I was listening to Bill Maher the other night, and Bill Maher was suggesting that running for Congress, that is the same thing. All you need is a tie and a smile. And when you
As
get
much
in,
as that, as
you-
much as that.
as much as that, but you don't even need, you don't have a terms of reference, you don't have to do nothing. And then you're
no.
basically assured there's 97%, I think, is the
I-
recurring.
yeah,
If you
But
in the
I
US,
would-
in the US, unless the crime actually involves election
Election fraud.
fraud, you're not barred from running.
Same thing in
Even if-
Belize, but
even
we
if-
have
even
some
if
same
convicted.
thing in our country, but we have additional disqualification listed in the constitution. In fact, that was the reason that the PUP had gone after the leader of the opposition in charging him for falsifying where he lives in order to change where he will
Yeah.
vote.
Yes, yes,
Remember, he
yes,
just came out of court.
yes.
But of course, that would be only one vote, right? That would only mean that he couldn't vote for himself. But
Well,
he
it
could
means
still
he'd be
run.
disqualified.
He couldn't be a member of the House.
You'd be
because he'd
disqualified
guilty
if
of
you have
corruption.
election fraud.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason. That's the reason they went at him. But if I could just quickly return back to what I'm hoping would turn out to be true in the absence of the figures. If it is true that there's only like 39, 42, whatever percentage came out to vote today, that would hopefully strengthen all of us that want to see substantial change in the party politics in our country, because we are around the periphery with the issue you just raised. But the bigger issues, this is the tragedy of the country we have right now in 2024. A municipal election is taking place. Nobody is saying to us, let's confine it to an area. Me, are you familiar with G Mike? Let's talk about Belize City, the biggest population base and the biggest one where voters are crowded up. Nobody has said to us what they are going to do to improve the dirty looking, depressing looking Belize City that year after year, election after election, nothing changed. They don't even plant one tree.
Dickie, we just put in a new bridge. We cemented a few streets.
Well, you know that
And
is not.
I'm
you
not
know
saying
that
we
is
as
not
a.
the- No,
I'm
but
not
you
saying
know
we
that
the
the
PUP.
municipal- No, but that is not the municipal government. I'm
Well, but-
talking basic things. Give me only 2 minutes here.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking basic things. My garbage on my street in my neighborhood is picked up on Mondays and Thursdays.
Right.
Belize City is infested with rats and roaches. They come out in the day now, not the cockroaches, because they're too smart.
But
The
Joe,
rats come out in the day, my boy. And
New
listen,
York City got rats that come out in the
I know
day.
business in New York City, man. I business in
I'm
mine.
saying it happens all over as long as you have people that eat stuff and have
Uh-huh.
garbage.
Yeah.
But
Do they
they
pick up your garbage twice a week?
Yeah, that's not good enough.
You want every
Between one,
day? And can we
no, I didn't
afford
say
that?
no, not go from one extreme to the next. I'm just saying, like, can they not say to us, boy, if you elect me 3 times a week, we'll pick up the garbage, you know? Because
Uh,
you left garbage for 3, 4 days festering, and so no wonder we are
the
infested with rats.
dogs pull it
But
uh,
that
out,
is
everything
only
happen.
listen,
uh.
listen. Let's not distract our own selves.
No,
How
but
much?
let's talk
How
about
much?
it though. Let's
How
talk
much
about it.
park? How much park and playground you here? They have built since they are gotten in. How much
I
they say they want bill? Who gone through the neighborhood and say, you know what?
They
A
said they
house
would,
come.
they promised, and they haven't done it. In fact, I got one on Jazz Street who have been trying to put in place for a lot, put some swing in there and whatnot. And by the situation with that and whatnot, and I'm going to get into it. But what I'm saying to you, let's go back to that garbage thing because maybe we need trash compactors. Because also we have to put some responsibility on the citizens also, Dickie. The citizens can do more. Make we do get some biomass, what they call it, biodegradable thing. You don't compost in your backyard and all that stinking garbage. We don't have to put that out, make that fester for 2 3 days. You see, finally we have to take care of some of the sloppy
Well,
garbage.
the point I was making was simply there is a huge municipal election that just concluded an hour ago, and there were no issues discussed.
Well, I've said for a while that I believe that politicians should be made to address the people. A speech. Politicians don't even give speeches anymore. They don't have any public meetings, no forums, not even a show like this. In fact, when they come on here, it's just to promise if they, and I don't even know if a show like this should let them on. But they have to at least use the news media, man, to explain to the people what they're gonna do and not just what the other one have done or not done. Don't you think?
And that's what we're
No,
saying. That's
no,
what's
no.
saying. Yeah.
What I think is that the people in the media, those of us who had an opportunity to get a better education, the onus is on us to ask them all day long. You know what the media they do? The turnout has been very low this year. So far, only so much come to the booth. In the next hour, we will see how it progresses. And all through the day, that the way we talk about. Listen, it don't matter when they come, it could be nobody come in the morning and they all come in the afternoon. That's not really important. What is important is how are we improving our limit democratic process? Because after the votes are counted later on today, tonight, that's it for us. We not play no role till 3 years again. Our views not important. If the garbage pick up or not pick up, if there's an increase in a rat, the fact is that the hurricane season is going to come right here in June, and hundreds, literally hundreds of drains have not been cleaned out, and there is no improvement in the ambience, the landscape, the view of the city. That every time I see a picture somewhere where somebody they talk, the fence got jonjo, it got mole. Everything is so depressing in a small little city like us. And yes, G Mike, you are correct. We the citizens have to do our part. We can plant, we can cut the grass, we could do our part. But
Paint the fence.
paint our fence. But listen, one gallon of paint that's $67. I mean, we struggle for years to can't paint no fence.
Yeah, but
But
now you want. But how can
these
then?
people,
Uh
give me a chance.
huh.
These people, they are professional politicians. We have a mayor and 11 city councillors, all of them being paid by us. You really believe we need 11 or
I
10?
don't think so, and
All
I
right.
think that's part of the problem
All
because
right.
some of the money they save from that could certainly many of them don't do nothing. Have you
Nothing
ever
that
go?
they do.
They not do nothing. So I believe that there are too many. That we don't need 10
What?
councillors. We really
I
don't.
Okay.
thought it was 7 councillors though.
No, there are
No,
10.
in the districts it's 7.
Okay.
But there's a gentleman who has posted there should be a standard for the exterior paint used on buildings. Yes, sir, I agree with you. Almost every concrete building featured in the media today as a backdrop has mold on their exterior walls. Yehoshu, David, Soloma, Yisrael just posted that up, and I
Do
agree
you?
100%.
Yeah, but then you know what? Our climate conditions are
Well,
harsh.
find a painter fit it.
Serious, and who's gonna afford it though? You're asking a
Well,
lot.
beautiful. Well, listen, we
There,
can't
there are
start
things
that.
there are things you can do in doing concrete that you put material in it that reduces the potential
True,
for fungus,
true.
fungal and stuff. So
I
there are
don't.
things that could be done
The
that
key
help it.
idea from
And
you.
also you could design the buildings in ways which I know we don't do often in Belize, that the water doesn't run and drains on the
Yep, on the
building and
side of the
create
building.
that
Yeah,
create
that
We could do a lot
that
of things. We could do a lot of things. But
I'm hearing.
let's skip that and come back to some issues.
I hear the usual rhetoric of a disgruntled political crony.
Let's hear
I don't know
Deetra.
which party they come from. Go
Let's
ahead.
let's let's hear Deetra Gillett. How much revenue would be generated if the city it has gone off? All right.
I went to address the issue of delinquent taxpayers, I think it was saying.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot
we
of
spoke
things.
about that last week at length.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
There's
we have to
always
get
that
back to that.
issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's always that issue of how to properly structure the revenue collection of the
Well,
government.
the truth of the matter, thanks for bringing that up, Greg. The truth of the matter is that Belize City has outgrown the traditional city council and its revenue base, which only based on charge property tax and some other least small taxes.
Traffic, which
The
another
tourists they
small
come
thing.
here, the tourists they have to pay the money, but the money must come to the city council, not go to central government.
Exactly.
There are dozens of things. I know when Joe Coe was involved as a former mayor, he was fighting to make sure that vehicles are licensed in Belize City and all the license come to us.
I think that has been changed. I
That's
think
what
Joe
happens, right?
spoke to that. I
Yes,
think Joe
yes.
has spoken to that last
Okay,
week.
and a lot of the things we can do to improve and broaden the tax base. But then, as G Mike is admitting, we don't need a top-heavy bureaucracy to manage a small city like this. You know how much money we that save if we put out.
Yeah.
Listen, you need a mayor, deputy mayor, maybe 1 or 2 councillors to troubleshoot. And the administration that's there, I imagine they must have one top-heavy office crew.
Yeah, that too.
But nobody no monitor how much people in take on. All in family and friends they work at the Belize City Council.
Indeed.
And all of them are supervisory level and do no work, sit in offices.
But what they do, Dick, is they block you from seeing the people that are in charge when you go there.
Yes.
That's their
But
job.
isn't there a check and balances in these places? I
No.
mean,
No, that's a dirty word. No.
No, ma'am.
You're gonna get in trouble.
We
with
would
that.
hope they don't.
Yeah,
The whole country is being managed, mismanaged, and run without any checks and balances. That is the crux of the problem.
but
Haphazard
how can
government.
we? I mean, how can we make them accountable for or how can we establish these checks and balances? I think first of all we need to establish as as a group of as a people, as a nation, we need to establish it, at least demand that it does happen.
And
These
that's where you get Yeah,
Well, that
and if
was
you have
what-
participatory democracy,
there it
you do,
is,
but if
there
you-
it is.
But as they were saying, once the voting is done here, 3 years before you are called upon, and 3 years from now, we don't make our voice being heard,
You know who
and
could do
any
it?
demand is placed on the government on what they're doing and how they're supposed to respond.
You know who could do it? That same, what's that quote again? The kid those who benefit, because
The
those
code
are
of
the ones that
conduct.
fight the hardest. If they would
Yeah.
fight for these issues, understanding that their party will not be in there forever, they only want to fight for it when their party is out. When a
Yeah.
party is in, then they fight to defend.
Yep.
When we
Yep.
get to the point where we want it, regardless of who is in there, maybe that's why we should go away from voting for individuals to voting for programs, voting for based upon where they stand on these issues, as opposed to just who you and what party you belong to. Because right now, if they're red, they're down the line. If they're blue, they're down the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
No, but as the caller has said, I mean, we need to start a conversation as to how we, the people where they pay the taxes, can have some buy into this process. If you could,
Exactly.
yes, yes, and
We
if
need
you
to
could
encourage it.
run,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
could run a big city council campaign and not speak to nothing that you will do in the city council or for a city, then you could get away with anything. Because if the media no ask no question, my boy, the media, nobody in the media, when they put a mic front of anyone of them, is to say, okay, all that is fine. They don't want good person, everybody love you and whatnot. And so, but tell us what you will do and how you will do it, where you get the money from. So if we could make them get a pass an elementary matter like our children now have one least swing figure swing when they come home from school or on Saturdays, and how hard it's going to be for us to say, let's go back to the good old days when every month you have a town hall meeting and your books are on display.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
now in this age of technology, they're not just a handful of people who interested in these matters or their political opponents who want to get some dirt.
Or are
Everybody
able to be
in fact,
involved, or are able, they
yes,
have
yes,
the
yes,
technology to be involved now.
yes,
You
yes,
could zoom it, you could put it on TV. But you
yes,
know what? You
man.
spoke of the media, but you make a
Yeah,
police sleep in an ex-policeman wife. Then you that
yeah,
then we dig into it and you get all the details.
And you
Eh?
get some stupidness. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
let's go to the core of the matter, man. Good governance, accountability, transparency. These are the things that we need to be going after with zest. Not just the foolishness, man, the TikTok version of what is going on. So,
Quick
Well, well, well.
question.
uh-huh.
I mean, you know how you have or small organizations that have bylaws that account for their leaderships. Why can't we do something like that in Belize? I don't
They have it.
understand. If
They
these
have it.
nonprofit, so why? I mean, if small especially nonprofit organizations, they hold their leaders accountable to running the organization. Why can't we do that in the governing body, especially in smaller governing bodies such as the municipal body groups? They're smaller bodies that we could hold accountable to get the things done within our towns and cities and villages.
So what if you have someone that will eventually move back to Belize and choose to work for free, and his pay that he would get go back to the taxpayers? I wouldn't trust that, my dear. Um, who you trust would do that? I don't
Well, you
know.
don't have to want people to work for free. People should work to get paid, I think.
Well, they could get paid. They could do their own non-profit. Um,
Exactly.
Cheryl Everett, as you mentioned, street. When are they going to fix the street? I'm fighting for Dean Street between West and they took that off too
East
early.
Canal, I
Man,
think.
yes, I
Yeah.
wanted to read it because my office is on Dean Street. I wanted to read it.
So hopefully put it back up. Somebody just put it up, and I think
Yes,
I'm
man.
not even sure how that works actually. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, all right. This is. I only have a few more minutes, but this is my take. The fact that some of your listeners and viewers, not to mention yourselves as the host, can say that yes, it is an issue that is worth. It's an issue that is worth flagging. That is a start. Instead of we get caught up in a Deidre is asking who enforces accountability. Nobody, mom. If I had the time, I would give you a couple of personal experiences I had as a younger man working as the hospital administrator. and get calls from George Price. I grew up in our UDP NIP family, and we used to puppy show George Price because people who go to a Wednesday clinic, and he pick up the phone and he said, put on the whatever, so on, so on, so on. And yes, Mr. Mike Reed, I have here Miss Elena, and she's complaining about XYZ and so on. So I'm sending her over to you so that you can solve her problem. Tell her to come back to me when you have solved her problem. We used to make big joke that they phone and him hook up and a man they take people for puppy show and so on. So, but George Price, presumably because he had no family and had a lot of time, he was the man who held the ministers and the public service accountable for the things that go wrong. We don't have that anymore in the country, and we need a system in place. We need a structure in place. We can't depend on individuals because in law they teach you who will guard the guardians. Because you put people up there because you love them or trust them, and the system suck them in and turn them into one of the purple men who fight to keep the system going because they are benefiting from the system. But the fact that we're having the conversation is a start.
Dickie, as one who has been there, do you believe that they all start out crooked, or do they start out good and turn crooked? What's that the deal?
Well, Sunday I had a visitor to my house who is a homophobe, and he would not accept his own description that he had seen little children, little boys, refusing to play marble or play cowboy and Indians, and they want to play jacks and they want to play with their sister Dolly or some girls Dolly, and he was denying that maybe that child is born like that. He figured nobody no born so. Well, if I could use that argument and say to you, I think that human beings are all born good and decent, and that our environment and our experiences and the temptations turn us into what we become.
That was interesting analogy, because you're basically supporting his argument and the point that he's making.
I don't support it in where he pointed pan. I'm saying human beings are good, decent people, and that you only get bad based on your circumstances and things you hear from your parents and friends and so on. So my point is, the reason why human beings at this late stage of civilization put in place accounting procedures, written reports, somebody who review those reports or review the performance and so, is because you cannot rely on individuals. No care how wonderful, no care how good, no care how moral, no care how Christian or Muslim they are. The point is, temptation is a real thing and human beings fall prey to it. So that is why there are systems in place. That is why we have systems.
Even if they're lawyers, or especially.
Even if they are church people.
Even or especially if they are. Yeah. No, but yeah, the checks and balance.
We need systems to respond to Castaneda's.
That's basically what she was talking about. Yeah, the checks and balances that are necessary.
We need systems. Yes,
but then you need also people to work these systems.
No, but if in this modern age, G. Mike and Gregory and Miss Lisa, in this system here with technology.
You mean that AI will do it?
All we could monitor it. G. Mike, the national budget is going to go to Parliament this very March 2024 to be debated and passed no later than the 30th of March. Today is already the 6th. The national budget, how much money we spend for the police, how much money to fight crime, how much money for hospital, how much medicine, how much whatever it is to run the government, the national budget, none of we don't see it, none of we don't even hear nothing.
Regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, though, in 2 weeks' time, they're going to supplementary budget. They want to do 10, 12 supplementary budgets before the year is
Yeah,
over.
but we can't. Yeah, but we have to. I mean, that is why we are discussing. That is why we are here tonight. To, Aria Lightfoot was in town tonight on today on one of the television stations discussing the election.
By Zoom.
Okay.
Aria is a big asset to the country. Like you
Yeah,
guys
she's a
who have
voice. She's a
committed. Yeah,
voice for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
She surely is. I
Network.
mean, Mr. Bradley, I had a quick question. Talking about check and balances in reference to outside organizations doing some of the work. I have a I mean, this is just out of curiosity. What are our union leaders doing? I mean, if they're representing so much majority of the working force, like the teachers, the nurses, the stevedores, where are they basically when it comes to taking that leadership in making government and governance accountable?
Well, let me read a post quickly first. The teachers union has been asking for accountability for years. Now the World
Mhm.
Bank is saying that the Belizean people are not getting buck for money. But we have anyone who is being accountable for whatever funds are being invested. However, they are quick to somebody take it up.
And if the post is
But
so long, they have to keep it up a little longer, man.
All
You
right.
know.
Well, let me answer you, Lisa. The unions in Belize are doing a fairly good job.
okay.
It is not easy.
But that is true in terms of representation for their constituents, but they are
Yeah,
not
because
doing
that
a
is
good
their.
job in
No, but they
representing
can't.
the
I mean,
overall
we're asking.
interests.
That's what I was coming to. We're asking
Okay.
too much of them. We're asking too much
You
of
Okay.
really
them.
think so,
Okay.
though?
It is a
Okay.
hard thing to try to lead any large group in Belize. To lead small groups, we
Yeah,
think
well,
a
that,
large group.
yeah, yeah,
It's not an easy
that is
thing,
true. That is true.
And there are many challenges that each of the individual unions have, and they are, a few. I don't think more than about 4 or 5 of them are professional people who are paid a salary to sit and just do union work. But trying to manage, all right, Aria Lightfoot needs a seat in the Senate. I agree with that.
Well,
When
the
when
diaspora
when
does. Let's put it that way. The
when
diaspora
we,
does.
yes, I was going to broaden it out. If we make any changes to the Constitution, this is one way to involve Belizean Americans abroad. That I have made this recommendation in writing to the Constitutional Commission that we need to reconfigure the membership of the Senate. Instead of having six PUP or six persons representing whichever party is in government, and three representing the opposition, and four scattered across the social sectors, we should change the Senate completely. Yes, you have to have the two political parties, but the bigger membership will come from the citizens of the country and the various organizations, because the Senate is supposed to be a kind of watchdog over the House of Representatives and the taxpayers' money, which they spend so wantonly. And you will only get that when you have a wide cross section of persons who are not seeking no political office, who know they look for try to get their hand on a contract somewhere or things like that. And this is where the diaspora could play a major role
But
in
let's make,
helping Belize to be a better place. That's all we want.
before you duck out of here, make your opinion on this, because I'm wondering how about we create a 32nd constituency for the diaspora and have them to vote amongst themselves for their representative that will be in the House of
But it's not
Representatives
going to change the
looking out for
dynamics
their
of things
interests.
much. It's
It
not going to
has to.
change.
They're
No,
going to
it will.
be in their
It's
voice.
pacifying. It's pacifying, and it
It's
might
not
make some
passive.
people feel good. No,
How,
because
how
we
can you?
look at what we have in terms of parliamentary.
So do you think
Um,
a seat in the Senate will do more than a seat in the
Yes,
House?
yes,
yes, for me,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
Yeah, let me
Why?
tell you why, G.
Explain
Let me
that.
tell you
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
When you get a chance, all of you, when you get a chance, excuse, you look at section 61A of your constitution,
Hmm.
and that lists out the powers and the functions of the Senate. And the listing of the authority given to the Senate is to investigate corruption, to investigate irregularities, to send for ministers. They are mentioned specifically to
Like
send
the
for them to come
like the
before the
inquiry
Senate.
that's going on right now that
Yes.
brought in a
Like
person
as an
that,
example,
that
as
person
an
brought
example.
in a person from the lands department that was not even and they weren't allowed to even ask him specific questions pertaining to
Yeah, but we
lands
can always
department.
yes, but we can always improve what we got. We don't say we have something perfect. What we
This
have,
the Senate should be abolished. The Senate
well,
is
all right.
useless.
What you replace it with?
But nothing. Have a strong House of Representatives, a unicameral
No, no,
system will
no, no,
work.
no, no,
Why not?
But
no,
we'll be in the
Why
same
not?
boat.
no, no,
Who
no. You
Why
need
who will
will
balance.
that
guard?
You need
work?
balance, and you
Who will
need
What
guard the
balance? You
guardian?
have no balance. They have no teeth. They can do
Who will
nothing.
the
who
All they
will
can do
guard
is
the
Senate
send
stuff.
guardian?
something back,
This
and the House approves it anyway.
well,
What
that's
does the
because of
Senate
the
do?
system we have. That's because
Well,
of the
then
system.
but that's what I'm saying. The system is not working.
Well,
But
But
that's
we
why.
have not
listen,
That's
we have not to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
but that
No go
baby
there.
there, that lone water there, no baby in it.
Well, get my baby. Let's get a
Well,
baby.
put the baby in at the
well.
You
house.
just said throw
Let the house
everything.
do its work.
That is not a solution. That is a reaction.
No, it's not. That's
If
not
we
man.
have something, if we have something, and it's not working well, let us
Fix it.
improve it.
Yeah,
But
there
But
are
don't
ways
but
to
if you
fix
get
it.
cannot,
annoyed and say,
if you try everything to approve it and nothing works, you try
We
a
haven't tried
13
no, that's
anything.
senator.
not
Well,
so.
Yes, we did. We tried a
That's not
13 senator. That doesn't do
no,
anything.
no, that was just political masking.
No, but
That was
everything you could describe as that. You could
no,
describe
no,
well, all
everything
no,
as
right,
that.
no. Okay.
all
That
right.
was, I think that was a good idea. The 13th senator was
It's
not
a
a
start.
bad idea,
But
but
but that
we're
has
not
but it
gonna
has
let it work.
but to the degree that it has been put in place, it has worked. It has held the government
No,
more
it has
Yes,
accountable.
not. What they did was they restructured the
it
whole.
can work. It
Uh,
can work.
they restructured the whole church.
It can work. It can work.
Created a senator from there, which was in fact just another UDP senator. Let's be
G
real.
Mike, G Mike, it can work. That is the important thing.
Man, but yeah, well, listen.
All
The
right, listen
13
to this.
yeah,
Listen
go
to
ahead.
this. The public, the people in Belize, felt something went wrong with the Portico scandal
Right,
and that the present government are involved in
right.
some way or other. And they tried to stop the Senate from
Well,
having
no,
a
the House.
public investigation. They tried to do it, but because of the numbers in the Senate, the 6 PUP could not
Stop it.
outvote the 3 UDP and the 4 private sector senators, which makes up 7. In this case, the UDP had a vested interest to have an investigation. So all we are saying is to make the what we call the social partners,
Maybe they're trying
the
to save the
unions, the
people
youth
some money.
groups, the media, the all people who are stake in the country, the diaspora, everybody, make the Senate bigger so that we could have a sensible debate on issues, policies, and proposed legislation. What we have in place might not be ideal, but we can make it better.
You look for let more rat in at this hen house. They're
No,
gonna
man,
eat
they
out all
don't.
they can. No,
Well, I
Listen,
no.
don't
this
know.
is
I don't know in particular that it has to increase. I think the
it's
numbers
safer
are
to
too high.
increase because there are times when the two political parties will knock heads together.
You the talk
It's
right now
safer.
about get rid of the councillors and you want to add more people in the Senate, Dicky?
But two separate things.
Why?
How you mean?
No, 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 they're the
How you mix
same.
up lime with apple?
No, the governance. The governance with
No,
the
man,
talk about, man.
they're total
The
different things.
governance. The governance. That is,
City council not pass law. They not approve budget.
the Senate is a waste of time. That's my opinion.
There's some truth in that, but we have to find solutions to the problem. We can't throw up our hand.
Look at the immigration scandal that they
That is
had,
not.
and there was a
That is not.
Senate inquiry. Where did
Yes.
that go? Spent a lot of money, got we on edge, the hopeful and whatnot. What happened?
All right.
Fizzle.
Let me answer you this week. How you to get work up? It's all right. There are lots of crimes which the police investigate and they don't come up with nothing. There are times when they come up with the so-called culprit and go to court and lose their case. Do we throw away the whole police department because of those failures? No, man. You have to be careful and look at each situation has to be looked and analyzed in its own.
Why it
You
failed?
see how
Yeah.
you characterize where I say as two different things, then you come up with two different things yourself.
All right, listen.
You see?
Listen, city council membership to have 10 city councillors sitting in offices, having vehicles, having drivers, having secretaries, having their own budget, having a big fat salary and doing nothing. Clearly, we can all agree that that can be changed.
Sounds like the Senate
That
to me.
has nothing to do with
Sounds
whether
like
we
the
want
Senate
an
to me.
oversight body. The Senate is the oversight body. You
It
can't
is
ask
not
the rat.
working. It is not
Well, let us fix
working.
it. All right, fine. Let us
But
fix it.
yeah, I believe the Senate is an essential and functional, essential part of our governance and stuff.
We
And
can't make it so.
yeah, yeah, and my thought always is probably having an elected senator, and I have said that many times, and I know some of you
Yeah,
guys opposed to that.
I am
And
one.
yeah, and
I'm
I
one.
there are reasons why I think that would benefit or give us a little bit more diversity, and it would have to
Except,
set up so it rotates so
yes,
that it's not on
except
the
that,
same
yeah.
cycle as the general election for the
Let me
National
perish.
Assembly.
Let me try to perish the thought right away because I'm leaving now. In the American system, that works excellent, but the American system would not fit in a tiny little country like Belize. You can't have an elected president with his
And
own
I didn't
power
say
and
president, I
authority.
said Senate.
Yeah, to counter that, you can't have
Okay.
an elected House of Representatives with their own powers and functions, and can't have a third elected body in tiny little Belize where we can't control the
No,
city council.
but the problem with that is that
Listen, you
Belizeans
can't
only
have
vote
two.
one way.
Hold on. You can't have two elected bodies. Which one is more superior to the other? Which
But
one?
it'll be
No,
redundant.
because each have their role. You designate what the role of the
In a
Senate is.
Belize, in
Yes,
a
Yeah.
in a
Belize,
Belize,
The
in
problem
Belize, in our
is, Greg,
constitution,
the problem
and it
is,
doesn't change too much the role of what the Senate has to do
but you
now,
have to ask yourself,
except
yeah.
they won't be appointed; they would be elected. But
the
the
Well,
problem
you
functional
is
role
that
of
Belizeans
oversight,
tend to vote when they vote. If they vote blue, then vote blue. If they vote red,
well,
then
that's why I
vote
said
red.
it would be
And
on
you're
a
gonna
different
have the two.
cycle.
What you're gonna
Yeah.
have the House of Representatives and the Senate both
Same
comprise of
thing.
the same political thing.
And
It's
Yes.
not that.
that's
That's gonna
fine.
work worse.
Yeah.
That
No,
no,
that's not
That is
fine.
not
absolutely
fine. How
no.
can that
That's
be
fine.
fine?
No, no,
Greg,
no.
Greg, that's
No,
not fine.
no,
Greg,
You're
no.
asking them to investigate
Wait
themselves.
for a
Not
moment.
don't change the.
Wait for a moment.
Go
That
ahead,
we
go ahead.
have that same situation. What I'm saying is we'd have a Senate that you would set at a different cycle than the election, so that gives the people that are voting a little cool off period. Maybe every 2 years the Senate is off from the general election, right? And that way it would, I think it would work and give them some opportunity to have a little cool off. If the people want to vote all PUP Senate or all UDP senators and all UDP, um, then that's fine.
why?
I believe
I,
you'll still get accountability because the
Ye-
interest of the individual then is a little different than the interest of the national government.
no,
I don't
I
agree.
think we have to ask ourselves the question: what do we want a Senate to do? Because
Mhm.
just voting in another set of people open us up to the same corrupt political system, buying
But
votes.
how could that be any different than having them appointed? I mean, the same
Because we are
corruption.
saying, yeah, but we are saying they'll be appointed from more groups in the society. You see, you have six blue and three
You,
red.
see,
And right
I
now, you
yeah,
have four social partners. You can have
yes.
14 more social partners so that the Senate has a totally different role. They are oversight. They will give you quality discussion on policies and proposed legislation, because in some other countries, what they do is they appoint people to the Senate who are professors at universities, who are
Mm-hmm,
student leaders, people
right,
who are
right.
bringing, they are bringing a fresh perspective to the same stale system that we have for so long.
But you'll have to give
We,
them some teeth, please. Give them teeth. They have none.
yes, of course, yes, man. I deal with that. I
They,
have
they,
two guys, they look like rappers here up on the thing, Julia Young. I take one picture of the same person. But
that's CY sister.
no,
Um,
man.
yeah, man. That's
Big
that.
up, big up crew, big up the
Mhm.
two of you.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, the why that the Senate thing, that one whole another argument that we have to have that
A
because
Senate with teeth. Amen.
yes,
A
yes.
Senate
So
with teeth.
all right.
Who
Um,
can who can summon the director of public prosecutions and require that they carry out investigation against people who they do wrongdoing. We can make a country better, you know. We could do it, you know, hard.
But we have to. So we will have to do it.
I
We
don't know if
can't
we
wait
have
for
to,
it to
but
get
we
done.
can. We have one, yeah, yeah.
If we
All right,
just hang on,
gentlemen,
wait.
the clock on the wall tell me that, man, against
yeah.
my
Wow.
will,
Yeah,
I have to
over.
scam, but I will
Look
leave.
at they come back.
Thank
Oh
you,
man,
very
look
much
at
for
this.
joining us. Thank you for
Yeah, look
coming
at
in.
Patrick Steen. Patrick Steen, take a picture
He want to
alongside
change
a
the
statue.
constitution.
Yeah, yeah, boy, yeah. We
And
want to change the constitution to make
to
Belize
do
better,
what? To do what?
to
Because
make Belize a better place.
isn't it what's in the constitution? You're going to change to wipe out corruption, to stop the favors, party favors, and whatnot. Are we going to put in something for political? What's the budget of the political parties? Are we going to have a
What
ceiling
Gregory?
for campaign spending? Are we going to do things like that?
Yes, we're not talking about campaign financing. We're not talking about whistleblower legislation.
Right, right.
But we'll use the word where Gregory used just now. Give the constitution some teeth so it could bite them at the butt.
But we don't want to change it just to be changing. We don't want to
have
do
to-
that. We just change to change, and we've been doing that for too long.
We
We're
want
not
to-
making progress at all. We check how black dog put in monkey, and monkey do the same thing what the black dog gonna do.
I need you to put gutter on your beautiful roof and drink some rainwater. I think that
That will help.
Yeah.
That will help.
But-
That will help.
My brothers, I am really, really sorry that I got to go,
Yeah.
but I gave my word that I
Okay.
would be there.
But
But
thanks for
we
your
will
time.
meet again. We will meet again another Wednesday, God
We
willing.
look out for you. Well, we
Sonia
spend a whole
Allen.
Wednesday to discuss that.
Yes, man.
Thanks, Dickie. Really appreciate it, man. Look out
Thanks
for you
for
past
joining.
7. All right. We're on election night in Belize City. The city councils are electing their people for who will run their constituency, their towns and areas going forward. It's interesting. There are some women on the ballots. I was wondering and going back to the Mayan issue, if the Mayans in Toledo have been active voting, because there are certain areas we need to look at. For instance, females. How the female to male vote look? Did more males come out? Did more females come out? How about
I think in our elections, it's always a higher percentage of female participation in our election. I think that has been historically the case.
the tradition, no?
Yeah, guys, if I don't know how well this app worked today, but I've been following it all day, and there's a lot of missing information within the app. I think that's something that the boundaries folks will eventually work out for the next election. But according to the app, as of right now, which I reset it, 52.16% of female voters voted today, and 47.84% of males voted countrywide.
But that's not bad.
No, right.
That disparity is not too wide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So,
How about young and old? They're first-time voters.
I'm
Very,
not.
probably very few in this election. Otherwise, it would have
think,
gone up.
I
It
really
would have
think
gone up.
people are disenchanted. We didn't feel a electric election atmosphere, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, when there's a lot of
I think
excitement.
usually municipal elections are less tempered than the general election.
That might
And
be
I
true,
think in this particular season, people seem to generally be content with what's going on for the most part. I don't get a sense that people were vying for change either in the municipal and village council government, and I think it also lends itself that there's nothing happening in the realms of the national government that they're looking forward to with any degree of excitement. And you mentioned it, that probably it has something to do with the current leadership that's in the opposition, and
or even the composition of the UDP as a whole, because the UDP is, let's face it, they're not a strong, cohesive group at all.
probably, yeah, it probably definitely has something to do with all that.
Plus, we're just coming off we're coming off 13 years And the last term of that UDP government was nothing nice, nothing that we'll forget soon. A lot of misuse of funds like the Petro-Carib monies that went, and we don't know what's going on with that. So there was a lot of things happening.
I think you're repeating a lot of your political party nonsense. People know where the Petro-Carib money
Where
went.
did it go?
Huh?
Where? And
It went
going,
it went to pay some to pay the loans for some homes that rather than building home, which I thought was an error, rather than building new construction for new people, it went and picked up and canceled those loans for those people that had outstanding loans. If you remember, that was something they did in the second.
Greg, maybe we can't discuss this because you're saying I'm echoing a political program there.
No, but I'm telling you what you're
I
saying.
believe
Where
you
did
are
it go?
too.
I'm telling you where the
We
money
don't
went.
need to take sides on this as
No,
a
no,
red
no,
and
no,
blue,
no, 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 no.
because you're obviously coming from a UDP standpoint and you're accusing me of coming from a UDP point of view. I am not. I don't think. I think the whole Petro-Carib fund was mismanaged, and we did not get proper accountability from them, from those monies.
I've never heard that,
hold that.
I've heard that as a political statement from the Briceño administration once they took office, but I've never heard that before when
Are
it
you
was
serious?
ongoing. No, I've never heard that before.
Well, but you weren't listening. It
Okay.
was there, and I'm telling you.
Okay.
I can
Well,
tell you.
yeah, I don't want to be taking political sides because that's not my role.
Correct. It is not progressive at all. It's not worth it. So
Well, guys, let me interject here. You know, we were talking about the many counselors that these municipalities have. So let's delve into something that just caught my attention. There's a breakdown for Belize City. City has all these areas that they call it, you know, Albert area, Caribbean Shores, Colette, Fort George, Freetown, Lake Independence, Mesopotamia, Pickstock, Port Loyola, and Queen Square. Right. If all of these individuals are elected, why can't each one of those individuals take a representation for each one of these constituencies or those areas, and the people in those areas go to them and make them accountable as part of the municipal the municipal governance?
You're that was an interesting point, and there's some substance to that. But then remember, you were talking earlier about this bylaws, the lower level of supervision that's necessary and to hold people accountable. Well, maybe that's the rationale behind having the city councillors from those areas, as opposed to just because you could say that the representatives in the House of Representatives have bigger issues they have to deal with. They deal with the whole countrywide thing, but it's not a bad idea. Most of them don't do hardly enough for the salary that they're getting. I can never forget, and Gregory, I'm sorry, it's Finnegan that took this motion to the House and got it passed, that they got a raise, I believe, from 98,000 a year to even more, 104,000, something like that. I don't recall the exact figures. But why are they getting a raise in money and not getting more added to the duties that they need to perform, the things that they have to do to satisfy the electorate, that we're paying them money for something? There's a lot that's not being done that can be done. They meet once every couple of months. They meet in the House and scream at each other insults and whatnot, things that have hardly anything to do with governance. Wonderful. We have in the House Miss Zenaida Moya. We have to say welcome. We got big people going and big people coming. You just missed the end of Dickie's show, Zenaida. Can you hear us? Hello.
She's frozen. But well, just before we move off and we wait for
everybody.
Miss Moya to come on
Um,
on screen.
Here we go. Here we go. You hearing us
yes,
now?
yes,
All right. Good
yes,
evening. Good evening, and
yes.
welcome to the show. Welcome.
Good,
Welcome. We're
good evening.
looking.
Good
Good
We're
evening.
evening.
looking at elections in Belize City. So we're glad to have you, a former mayor. You never ran for a big office, right? You didn't go for central government.
No, no.
All right. Are you still active in the political arena?
Um, Not as active as I can be. I've been asked to be more active.
Okay.
However, that's something that I'm looking at. I've been focusing more on my business, but I don't rule out getting more active.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are you going to stay with the party of your choice so far, or are you open for maybe a shift?
Well, we will see. We will see what happens.
We're just handle like a politician, girl. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
we will see. It all depends on the leadership. You understand? If it's good leadership, then you have no problem being around or being, aligning yourself.
a
But if the
part of that.
leadership
Yeah.
isn't good, then
How do you feel now about the leadership of either party? How do you feel about? Let's go PUP first. How do you feel about the leadership of the PUP? Jennifer Senior as Prime Minister and leader of the People's United Party.
well, I think that he has been trying to do the best that he can be. He There are certain things I wish that were not done, and those things I didn't support. COVID was a big deal, and to shut down a country for so long, people were who people were without any employment. Their livelihoods were cut short, and to shut down a country for so long, I think it was unnecessary. There are
It,
certain
it
countries
was
that
a
did
health
not shut it down.
was a
It
health
was
issue though. It was a health issues and
No,
all.
it's beyond a health issue. You had certain countries that never shut down. You
America
understand?
America shut down.
Yeah, and you're seeing what's happening. All
Yeah,
right.
but they
So
were able to send out
you,
stimulus checks, of course. Yeah,
yeah, but
but
so there's certain things that I didn't support, and I'll never support that. I think that people are suffering, and the length of time that it was shut down has caused tremendous hardship on the people. And so I think that in that particular decision, has really taken a toll on the lives of Belizeans. We were not getting most people, to the onset, this isn't like the US, I believe they were getting assistance. Most people were not getting assistance. Let's say they got their little $150 every 2 weeks, but that was minuscule in terms of people's needs. So there's certain things I don't think it was very necessary. And even if they had shut down because they did not know better, the length of time that it was shut down,
we did
I
survive,
don't
Zenaida.
support.
We did survive, girl, didn't we? We
And I see the
survived.
repercussions.
All right.
So I really think
Let's look at
just to
I
the
think in
leadership.
that I wanted to say in that
Go ahead.
COVID
Go ahead. Go
shutdown
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
there was so much unknown, but it did seem to at a point that probably we should have started bearing some senses and realize that we needed to increase the activity and make things known
ads
because there was
that
nothing we
have
could.
been playing. It's about national issues. You don't see anything about local issues. Most of the ads are not geared towards the local issues. They're primarily geared towards national issues. Had it been that the place was not shut down for so long, I believe that the ads would have been geared more to local issues. You understand?
Let's look at the next party. How's the leadership of the other party, the red team? Is that adequate? Is it in going forward? Can it work?
Hmm. Well, I think that
Eh,
a party always needs
It freeze again for me.
Yeah, it froze again on her.
I It sounds like you're
And
going to
it's
say a dynamic
that
leader.
then, yeah, people will see, you can pull in somebody because of, you know, their family related, but if they don't have the experience, and people don't respect that person. You understand? You can solicit support through fear, but how long will that support last? You understand what I'm saying? So you need to be able to have a vision. You need to be able to really empower people. You need to be able to show people that, you know what, you have what it takes to lead. Um, and I think that that's an area that could definitely be improved. I think in time,
Will he get enough experience to be effective?
She's frozen, Mike.
She might be going out and coming back. And I want to get, with your permission, guys, get to her on the Maya issue too. I want to get her point of view on that situation, because we know she has strong views on that. She went out, and hopefully she'll be coming back in. The internet is I tell you, not perfect
Savvy.
science. Yeah, they're not perfect science, and it's all over. The other day, how about I see, and it says Zuckerberg get a UDP for run for our one. That will happen. No? That I don't know. Is that true? Really, but
Well,
people went crazy. Yeah.
what I wanted to know, and what Lisa was looking at, was some of the statistics for the village council and
Yeah,
city
Lisa, you got
council
any more of
election.
those?
So
Um,
what I know, you were saying that it was like 52% for women participation and like 47% for men, and
Let's get
oh,
Zenaida,
let's see.
because Zenaida is back, and
Okay,
we don't
yes,
want to lose
please.
the opportunity. We have
yeah,
her with us, but we finally get down with a beg for Zenaida a long time. Thanks, Zenaida. We really appreciate you
yeah,
giving
and
us the opportunity to chat, gal. Uh,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, want to get your views. We're after yet already on the Maya issue down south. I think you had some strong views on that, and you didn't mind sharing some opinions. Can you speak on it?
Listen, I when I was an economist in the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade, that is in starting 1997, April 1997. I recall myself, the then permanent secretary, now thereafter CEO, that there were certain things we had to deal with as it regards certain issues that affected the Maya. And one of the things that used to happen were certain representatives. Now, when I say certain representatives, those particular Maya representatives don't necessarily represent the entire Maya people, but there were certain Maya representatives that would go, for example, to, let's say to Washington D.C., whereby they would go in a manner to solicit support from the international community, show themselves in a very indigenous manner,
Mhm.
and be able to try to solicit that support, get that buy-in. And
Mhm.
I have looked at that, and that's from 1997 that I had to deal with that. 97, 7, 17. You see how long? You
Yeah,
see how long that is?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they
So,
are divided. Yeah.
yeah, and so what I wanted to say though is that the that divide has been there from then, and the people of Belize, you have certain Maya people that you know very well, they have moved all over the country. Nobody stops them from living in that area. No, nobody, absolutely nobody stops them from moving. Nobody whatsoever. However, going into certain villages, we know that there are certain restrictions and there are certain conditions for you to be able to live and share those particular villages, those particular communities. That has been very difficult on many Belizeans. Whilst we may support the rights, the indigenous rights, we also look at the fact that when it impacts, other Belizeans, it starts to it starts to take its toll in terms of, you know, that camaraderie, that real Belizean brother and sister relationship. You know, we should be our brothers keepers and all that, and yes, we support it, but it is something that I believe it has taken its toll on a lot of Belizeans. And you know, I honestly feel that there's a divide in terms of the support. And when some of these Maya leaders will, you know, for lack of a better word, give ultimatums in certain things. And yes, they have gone and they have gone the legal route, and thereafter they have sought to get their support, and in some instances, like I said, given ultimatums. That is where again they in certain quarters they lose support. They lose support, and that's simply because the Maya in general, they're able to go all over the country. Now we understand you will have certain individuals who say, okay, the Maya can stay in their place, and they're really fighting to ensure that they support, they stay with Belizean land. They're really just ensuring that they're securing and not having those land move into the hands of, let's say, foreigners.
Mhm.
There's a thing with that, however, when it starts to impact rank and file, regular Belizean, and Belizean are unable to access, you know, some of those lands in any way, or it becomes difficult for them, and that is an issue. I believe that is an issue, and I think it's an issue that they have to look at, because they definitely need they definitely need the other Belizean support, no?
I wonder, Zenada, why we spend so much money. Because we basically spent a lot of money on lawyers going to
Yeah.
the court. They spent a lot of money also that, like you suggested, they were able to get from funding and whatnot. But then at
Yes.
the end of the day, all the court said was, look, go and work it out on yourself. I see that as a waste of money. Now, is there any way you believe that this customary land issue can be resolved amicably in Toledo?
Yeah, I think where there's a will, there's a way. There's definitely a way forward. However, you have certain individuals that I think may not be very negotiable. I think that they have set their, you know, they have set in stone what they want to achieve, and the no amount of negotiation is gonna move them along in any way.
Is the
And this
agenda
is
selfish? Is the agenda selfish?
in certain lights, in certain lights,
Who's
because
funding the Maya? Who's funding the Maya? Where do they get their funding from, as far as you know?
well, they do have, as far back as I can recall, they've gotten support from abroad, and they do get support from abroad. They know their individuals. I won't disclose it unless they want to disclose, but they do get support from abroad. And these individuals, there's some of them who have been able to, you know, while it may look very good that they're fighting for the rights of their Maya brothers and sisters, in some lights, there's a disparity in terms of when you see, you know, them, how they live, what they own versus what they're fighting,
The
or what
ones
they
they're
own
fighting
to be
for. Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
for. You know, so there's definitely discrepancy there, and I think some of their Maya brothers and sisters, they do understand and acknowledge those discrepancies, and that's why I think that there's not full buy-in and full support, you know, in terms of what they're pushing.
Yeah. Mrs. Zenada, I do want to talk a little bit more about city council, though. I want to kind of see how we could make city government more effective and more workable for the people, and if you have any ideas on something like that.
Yes, I feel that because look, city council, town council are at a level where the people can access directly. I honestly feel that the city council ought to have a little bit more support. They are under the Ministry of Local Government or whichever government at the time, whatever they call that government. Sometimes they add on rural development, but all in all, it's under the Ministry of Local Government. And you see, when you're trying to get entities to grow, you have to ensure that there's a good level of decentralization. Some people believe in decentralization, some people don't. Some people believe in that top-heavy all in the whip. I'm running things. However, if they themselves are not doing a good job or don't have time to deal with municipalities,
or don't understand it.
Don't understand. Excellent. I love that. That's a fact. They don't understand it. The people look at city leaders and town council leaders differently than they look at area representatives, standard bearers. They look at them differently. Now, there are certain instances that the people will try to, access certain city leaders or town leaders in the same manner. But we fully well know that their scope of work, their agenda is totally different. While they may want to access and get help for medical purposes, land, you name it, school fees and so forth, that's not the job of a local government. However, and we do know what local governments are responsible for. The basic infrastructure, so sanitation, they get to fix streets, they deal with traffic, liquor licensing, parks, playgrounds, they deal with revenues, trade license. So, there are certain urban planning that they deal with as well, and there's other areas. Now, those particular that particular mandate, right? Those list of duties, they come at a cost, and I think that it is easy. I see how the government they get taxed through, for example, let's say even dealing with oil, with gas. So automatically they get a percentage that is tacked on to the cost of a gallon of gas, a gallon of diesel, whatever.
Right.
And so they automatically get that. So they get automatic revenues. They don't have to work hard at all. Yes, they have to work in terms of they have to ensure that they're able to collect it, right? But that is to me that is even easier. You want to go more in terms of when it comes to customs, it's probably a little bit more difficult in certain areas because certain taxes are evading. But by and large, the central government has it such that the ability to collect the taxes are fairly easy. Not all taxes, but fairly easy. The environmental taxes and so forth, they can collect it easily. When it comes to the town council and the city council, however, it's not easy. You are talking about property taxes. Now, you may say, okay, well, just ensure that you tax them and you collect the money. It's not that simple. It's not like a gallon of gas that you have to. That person has to go there, pay for that gallon of gas, and you get your money. That's not. You have a piece of land, you own a property, and you have to pay. You have to hope and pray that the person pay their taxes. You understand? So it's not as easy. It's way more difficult in my view. Now, when it comes to the head tax, that's something I had fought for city council. That is a little bit easier because
this is from the tourism sector, right?
Yes,
the head tax.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So I was able to so we had the agreement how the city would be able to get that particular money.
Revenue sharing, yeah.
Yes, so by and large, that's easier, way easier, I believe, as long as government fulfill their side of the bargain, easier to collect, as opposed to, like I told you, trying to get taxes from, let's say, property tax, even trade license. You look at trade license and you say, okay, well, you should ensure that you collect the trade license. When you're looking at little mom and pop shops, These individuals, is very difficult to collect money from them. Some of them will not even put up a sign. They will conduct business without any signs. They will conduct business at their homes. They will
Yeah.
try to evade whatever taxes they can. And by and large, you'd say, okay, well, you shouldn't charge them anyway. However, to make life easier on everybody, you always want to broaden your revenue base. Those little 1 cents and 2 cents they add up. They add up. But
Let me
how
ask you.
can you
I
ensure
want.
that they comply?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you two more questions on that
Yes.
area. Expanding the Belize City limits, and also
Yes.
whether the current numbers within the city council is an efficient and workable number. Is it something we should be increasing or consider reducing the number of constituents for the city council?
Mhm. Well, first, moving there have been for a long time a discussion in trying to expand Belize City proper to, let's say, the surrounding areas, right? Simply because it was looked at that a lot of the people that live in the suburban areas, they commute to work within the city. There, there's they are they were merely moved out because of, let's say, they didn't have
Expansion,
land.
right?
Yeah, they didn't have access to land and things like that, no? But they're still attached. Their ties belong to Belize City. And so
Right.
that was an area that was looked at for years. I personally supported it, but I don't think it will happen. Why? Because now you're looking at, let's say, in the case of Ladyville, one day Ladyville, I don't know, might even become its own town,
City, yeah.
and then city. So do that gap has been moved. You have had a lot of businesses move out to Ladyville to try and evade paying, let's say, trade licenses. So they have further expanded a divide, that there's a divide there.
Yeah.
So that is something that needs to be factored in. Your next question was what?
Should we be consider what should we consider in the size of the current
Are they
city
top heavy?
council? Yeah.
Is the city
Right now, I
council top
think
heavy?
yeah,
The number of
number of
councillors, do we
councillors.
need 10 or do we need more or less?
I personally don't think you need 10. I honestly don't feel you need 10. I don't think you need 10 councillors. I think if you get, like maybe 5 competent councillors, I think that is enough. Each councillor, they do have their, usually they are given portfolios, and those portfolios also entail having, heads of departments, heads of units. And I think that having it so top heavy, I don't think it's really, 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 optimal.
Yeah. When
I
you
don't think
were in
it's necessary.
government, when you were the mayor, did you have the same 10 or was it a lesser number that you had at your time?
10 plus 1 is 10 councillors, one mayor. And I
So
honestly
it's from
feel
a
that
very
they were
informed
not
position
necessary.
that you come. Yeah.
Yeah, they were not necessary. You had a lot of them that really were not necessary. They barely did anything in certain instances. So they were not necessary, but you do have some. That's why I said at least 5. I think it could have done well with a mayor and, let's say, 5 strong councillors. And simply because, as I told you, under those councillors, just like ministers, they have their CEO. In this case, they would have their departments and their managers or their directors. So you have directors and then managers. Those people play a vital role in terms of they're the ones who are actually carrying out the mandate. Yes, there's policies, that there's policies, and of course there's always that political, necessity to hear from the people, see what is needed, what actually is needed, that sometimes technocrats will not really be the best persons, because I've worked at both the national level and of course at that municipal level. And as a former, I was an economist and senior economist and registrar of cooperatives and credit unions and director of public sector investment programs. So I was at different levels, and of course a trade union leader. So I have been at different levels, and I'll tell you, these individuals, some of them are competent, some of them, they were placed there for other reasons.
Political. Tell me, Sonny, because we've proven that we can work with one less. Micah, I didn't see if Micah's name was on the
He
ballot.
wasn't there. Yeah, he
So
wasn't
he's not
there.
running again because
No,
he was
no,
given
he chose
he was
not
given
to.
leave for study. So
Yes.
he's been away most of his term actually. So
Yeah, he's doing his law degree, yes.
yeah. So it shows that we can do at least with 9, if not less. But I think 5 is a realistic number. I think we can work
Yeah.
with that. It's
Yeah.
too top
Yes.
heavy. Senator, were you ever in the Senate?
No, I was never in the Senate.
What's your view on the Senate? Is it effective? Can it be effective?
I think that elected Senate, truly elected Senate would be a good thing.
I
Appointed
agree with
Senate,
you.
appointed Senate is a bit different. Appointed Senate is just it's just fingers. It's just the fingers of the party, the specific party that appoints them. They're appointed. They don't have a say really. They have no say. They literally are just, they're just messengers. To a great extent, they're simply messengers. They need to be, they need to go and they need to speak well and present what necessary. But
How would that change, though, Zenaida, electing them? Why would they change? They'll put up the same people, and at the end of the day, it'll be red against blue as usual. But isn't it better now that you have people from different social partners, if you will? You have the church, you have the unions, you have the. Is not better as opposed to running the risk that voting the way Belizeans do. If they're going blue, they're going blue. If they're going red, they're going red. So if you have an elected blue house and an elected Senate, then we're a vote to the same political party. We have redundancy, don't we?
Yeah, but I look at proportional representation. I think that it has merits in terms of
Yes,
even
yes.
at that level. And if in fact you are able to have, let's say, continue to have, say you want proportional representation, you want to ensure that you have a business voice, or a church voice or a religious voice, however you want to call it, a union voice, you can do that. There's ways how you can do that still through election.
Yes.
You
yes,
understand?
yes,
There's
yes.
definitely ways that you can do it, and
Yeah.
people will be able to vote for persons who are not just puppets.
It
Yes.
definitely requires a lot more discussion for sure. Now,
Yes.
your views on the diaspora's involvement. Should we have a diaspora in the Senate? I was suggesting that maybe we have a constituency for the diaspora. Instead of 31, we have 32, and one of them, they have their own elections to select their representative for the House. What's your view on that?
I would support it. I think the diaspora bring a lot to the table. I think that I always look at a lot of them and I see them. I would see a lot of them. They're very engaged in what is happening in Belize, and I love that. I love that they're engaged. Now, if they're engaged in a manner that is helpful, but in a manner whereby it's just to like tell us what to do, no, that will not work. I see some that are very, they come in and they will be a part of, they try to do even community work, they'll come down and you see them trying to really, at least once a year or however, once in 2 years, you'll see them try to really, be around the people like yourself, myself, who are here, and that is necessary. So the diaspora, they're necessary, but if it is such that you would get a representative, that person just stays and has lived all their life. I'm just saying the US, it could be for other countries, but let's say somebody in the US, and that person doesn't visit Belize, that person isn't really engaged, and understand what is happening on the ground.
But they're
Then
there.
that person, and if you say, okay, they're just to look after their affairs.
Right.
To look after their affairs. To look after their affairs. And if it is such that they really and truly want to have that affair be linked with Belize in any way, then that's fine. But if you look after their affairs and it's just a US affair, for example, an affair that affects them in the US only, then they need to deal with that in the US. But if it is something that will affect them Belize-wise, then those are issues that I think should be brought to the table.
How you feel about the diaspora vote, allowing them to come in and vote without having to wait for the period? Because to vote, you should have to be in Belize for a period of
3
time,
months.
correct?
Yeah. But nobody enforces that. Those are some of the things where we don't have accountability and enforcement. But there should be a waiting period, not to vote, but to register to vote. You could vote anytime once you're registered, is my understanding. Once you're duly registered, but there is a time period that you should have waited in Belize before you can register. And I think it's like 90 days or 3 months.
Yeah, it's not enforced. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, Zanaya.
I have listened, and I have a lot of friends who live particularly in the US, England, Canada, and I feel some of them are very in touch with what is happening in Belize. Those individuals who are very in touch with what's happening in Belize, I think they have all rights to be able to affect, and influence our governance here. But if you look at the fact that a lot of Belizeans, Greg, how many Belizeans are we looking at more or less? Because a lot of times I hear different figures. But I think
the US has about 50,000, at least 50,000 Belizeans.
I've heard a number as high as 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
no!
I was going to say.
There's much.
I was going to say.
It's-
No, I was going to
it's
say
much
if you look
higher.
at family,
Much
if you look
higher.
at family connection, then it's like a couple 100,000. But if you look at direct birth Belizeans, I think it's somewhere around 50, 60,000. That's what I was told.
And you see, they would have an effect because once you have that link, you're born to a Belizean, then I believe they would look at that they have a right and a right to also vote. I believe that is something that they probably would push for, that to have their children.
Because once you get a
vote.
citizen, you get a citizen. There's no
Yeah.
class
It's
difference,
a
right?
tricky
Exactly.
situation.
So you see how and I have said there because I know, Lisha, are you from the US? Are you Belizean
No,
American?
I'm a born Belizean, Miss Moya, but I was raised in the United States.
You
I am
raised in the United States, so
I
that's
was
my
raised in the
point.
United States. Mhm.
Yeah, how long did you live in Belize?
Until I was 12.
Okay, so you were 12. Okay, so you were a child when you moved over.
Correct.
So my point is, when you have a skew, so if we're just to say, okay, we're gonna allow the diaspora to vote, there's a possibility that let's say all of them would vote, or a high percentage. Let's say you have a high percentage rate, 80% voting, and you have Belizean here, where let's say you have 50% voting. And I know the figures are different, but I'm looking at percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how that could really skew what the actual representation of the Belizeans who live here, whether or not they're used to live in the US, they come back, or they've always been here? Do you see how that could be skewed? And do you see how that could really spell trouble? It can spell trouble because some of them may not even know or understand
Or have the
our
interest.
way of life. They may not even know. There's some of them, like one of them, someone I spoke to today, he said he left when he was like 36, 37. That man, I think he's probably in his late 50s, probably maybe 60, but he really understands Belize. Now, those people are different. So let's say different than, let's say, I have my daughter. My daughter was born in the US, but let's say my daughter, and my daughter live here with me, right? But let's say my daughter had lived all her life in the US. My daughter, I don't think she should be able to have that impact on Belize.
Yeah.
I understand that's my daughter because
And
this
I,
is not
And I
fair.
agree with you. I agree with you.
I,
I'm.
I,
Go ahead, Lisa.
Sorry, and that's something, Miss Moya, that I have brought up many times before. I've been approached many times to come to Belize to register to vote and so forth, and I have never done it simply because I don't feel like it's fair for the people who live the everyday life in Belize and my vote to impact their lifestyle. And voting is about creating a fundamental right to lifestyle.
Yes.
And I, and me being outside of Belize would change that scale for them based on how I live. I remember, I don't live there full time, and if I don't live there for full time, economically it doesn't impact me, socially it doesn't impact me, but I will impact my vote will impact how they live.
Yes.
And I
You're a
don't think
I
decent
that's
think
woman.
I
fair.
think
That's
the
true.
issue. Yeah, I think the issue of voting is one thing, and I agree with you too, Lisa, that it's not practical and it doesn't make good sense for the well-being of the nation. But I think the issue that does concern me is having people a right to run, that are diaspora people, to have the right to run and participate in national election while still remaining citizens of the United States. I
Well,
always
that's even
and
worse.
I know some people are concerned about that, but
Mhm.
there's so much on that doesn't make sense. The concern, the overwhelming concern, they kind of skewedly present, because it allows people that are from any other country that takes up Belizean citizenship to participate in those elections.
Let me
To
say something though.
let me just finish this point. To participate in Belizean elections. So to just deny the diaspora that, on, oh, you gave up your citizenship and
You
therefore you're
made
no
the point.
longer entitled, is a bit of a concern, and it's a bit of a wanking that doesn't
Let me. You
really
made your
equate.
point. Though you made your point. Let me say this. I don't
Mhm.
think the concern for American citizens from Belize is Belize. They shouldn't. They're not concerned about us. There's a oath that you swear before God that you
Mhm.
renounce everything that you were connected to. That is an oath before God. That is then perjury. You can go to jail for that. So your concern might not be so much about how Belizeans feel about that and how whether we want it or not, but what the Americans are going to
Let
think about.
American worry about American.
No, well, that's what you are as American will worry about America.
No,
Then let Belize,
Mhm.
I said
then
let
let
that.
Belizeans worry about Belize. How about that? If you want to put it like that.
I agree with you, G Mike. I agree, G Mike. I definitely agree, G Mike. Yeah,
But
and he is valid. It's a valid point.
I mean, and in addition to that, I've always said that I wouldn't vote unless I live in Belize. Yes, we own property and homes in Belize, but again, we are not there full time. But what I will support is that, that so we have some type of representation
I agree.
in one of the legal systems.
I think you're not gonna
And
get a
that's
big fight
where.
on that. Um,
I support that. I
yeah,
support it.
I
I
really
support
think
it.
they should have a constituency. I mean, and again, that person would sit in parliament, but only with matters concerning the diaspora, and they
Mhm.
would in fact then have a right to vote for that representative over there. They
Yes.
can have different polling areas in different cities. It's quite easy to do now with all the technology available. So I
Yes.
think they can do that. Have a representative that sits in the house and speak on diaspora matters. But
Mhm.
now we deal with the same issues like the Mayans. The Belizeans in the diaspora as not as united that as they want us have. There are many splintered groups. they're not one block as such and say, "Oh, we're diaspora." They're so diverse. It's not even funny.
It's just
So,
as diverse as every other sector in Belize in
yes.
terms of idea, in terms of income, in terms of social outlook, in terms of economic capacity.
Okay, so we'll have to deal with that also first, right? So,
Yes.
um,
But the first things first, we really need to take care of Belize and Belize issues in Belize.
Yes.
The diaspora has been helping Belize for a long time. During COVID, we funneled some major economic funds,
but
starting with.
you can't be between our head with that all the
No,
time,
no,
man.
no, no. But I'm
But
just
it's a
what
fact.
I'm saying
It's
is,
kept you
but what
guys
I'm
afloat.
Yeah, but hold up. Let's
what
be
I'm
real. Let's not go there
no,
because
no.
we
No,
But
will
it's
we
true.
will.
It's
I'm not
true,
saying
J.
that we
Mike.
want to
Yes,
deal
yes,
with
it's
too
true.
much.
There has been remittances to Belize in substantial quantities. A lot of
Okay.
it, though, and only now we are seeing people really come together and say, "Let us help Belize." But for the most part, those remittances were helping people of their own family, of
That's
their,
not true,
Mhm.
J. Mike.
some
That's not
obligations
true.
that they left behind. That is true up to a certain point.
So they have
Now,
an
So,
obligation,
so, so,
Gmail.
yes, they had
so,
an obligation. They were
so,
obligatory
G. Mike,
thing.
G. Mike,
So they
Yeah.
weren't doing anything
G.
special or
Mike.
out of the ordinary.
I'm in
But then
support.
they
I've been
can't lash me in our
supporting.
head with it like that every time we look around. That's not
No,
what they do.
no,
No,
but
no,
Oh, we
it's
got
not
to
but
go
about
to
let
live
me
our
lashing in
head.
your
You have
head.
to
let
do
me
our
finish
work. We
saying
got
what I was
remittances. We would
saying.
stop this if you don't do it. I mean, then
No, I
why are
don't
you
think
doing it?
anybody say that
Well,
because
what is the purpose of
because
doing
it
it?
is so tied to you're correct. It is so tied to a personal and our family relationship. But it needs to be considered. It needs to be recognized and it needs to be accounted for. And it needs to give us a voice somehow within the structure of our governance.
Let me do something here with this. Hardiman, you should put that back up. He was saying he was talking. I'm concerned that I've been watching even before Dickie left, and I have asked several questions. I've not seen those questions, and I have a couple of statements and no response. Yet bringing up Petro Carib, support me like I support you. Petro Carib, you mean? What are the issue with Petro Carib? Write something there quickly for me, because we're almost out of time. And yes, we would
I
like to
wanted to ask
support
you
you like you
something
support
quickly
us.
about the constitutional reform, Zenaida, Ms. Zenaida.
Yes.
Do you think it is moving in the direction? I know they are now into the third stage of it. I think they're
Yes.
saying where they're gathering the final bit of consultation and kind of inking some of the documents. What's your thought on that, if any?
Well, I feel that the people are still not fully involved. But you have to understand why. Some people don't care.
Hmm.
You have some
Hmm.
people who really and truly don't care. They are living hand to mouth.
Some have
Hmm.
They
never ever opened the Constitution or
have
read any
never
part of it.
correct, and they're living to a great extent in Belize. The masses are living hand to mouth. They go to work or they try to make a living, and the money from that's all they think about. You
Hmm.
understand?
Hmm.
There's a say, don't worry about the noise in the market, check your change.
Hmm.
Don't worry about the noise in the market, check your change. These people are just trying to ensure that they make money and be able to survive, feed their kids, live to see another day, hand to
Hmm.
mouth.
Yeah.
So when you have the masses at that level, they don't have time. They don't see it as a priority to be
Good.
engaging in civic duties, such as trying to deal with, a constitution reform. So that's a key issue. The
The,
dynamics is such, and the economic status quo is not there for the masses to really be engaged as we would want them to be. So it's just still an intellectual discussion to a great extent. Even when they say, okay, there'll be certain stakeholder meetings, and there has been, it is not at that level. It is
it,
not that level.
is the exercise one with a good purpose, or is there some sinister move behind it? Are they trying to fill an agenda here, or
Yes,
are they
I believe
really
they are.
you think it is sincere? Is that what you think? Or
No, I don't think
it's
it's
not that?
fully
Yeah,
sincere.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think there's agenda that they're trying to
Yeah,
fit in,
forward. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and some of us see it for what it is.
The question has to be, how will it address corruption? How will it provide accountability? How will it make life better for the average Belizean and the ones that you're talking about, the majority of us that are on a hand to mouth? Though I don't think that's a good reason to not be engaged. We have to be involved in what is going on. We need to, regardless if I have just one slice of bread or one steak for the night, I need to understand what is going on in government. We need to be more involved. How do we get the
I
people involved?
I agree with you. That's the ideal, right? That's the ideal. We always want the ideal. I was speaking about the actual. Okay, so the ideal is totally different from the actual, and I can tell you, there's certain things that are being put in place now that I'm happy, for example, with a law that has moved 14, the age of 14 to 16, mandatory school, that you have to be in school up to your 16. There are certain things that are good things, but I am telling you that i- since primarily since COVID, the situation has been so dire. We have a lot more alcoholics in this country, and you are seeing the repercussion of that. Whether or not you support the use of marijuana, medicinal or recreational, that's another story. But I look at the fact that, and of course I speak to different doctors, mixing alcohol with marijuana is not the best thing for people, and we have been seeing an escalation of the selling of liquor and beer all over Belize. Everywhere, every end of the street, there's a liquor store.
Hmm.
And we are seeing a toll whereby people, it's so easy to just shoot somebody, beat up somebody, stab up somebody, home invasion, killing for little reason. You understand? And a lot of times you look at domestic abuse, you look at that, and you find out that these people were under the influence. A lot of traffic accidents, the escalation has been there. So these particular issues have really taken a toll. Now, we're looking at, when you want to look at constitutional reform, then you have to look at true constitutional reform.
But more
Will there be
draconian measures, more draconian laws is not the
no,
answer.
no, no. But what I will tell you, and I'm somebody that actually really, really, really feel that things will only happen when you have specific people in charge of certain things. So, like proportional representation, you have specific people responsible. It's just like the diaspora. You're gonna get, let's say, under that, you will get a person specifically to look and to represent the needs of the diaspora. Do you understand? Those things can only happen under such a system. It's not going to happen under this system. So
Let me ask you another
the
question.
full constitutional reform has to include that particular restructuring or new embrace.
Let me ask you a quick question. What do you think the result will look like tomorrow after the election?
Wow, I think they're looking at it. I haven't been looking at it. I have been looking at PG. That's a place that I wanted to look at simply because I'm so much, I like when there's three different entities and you want to see what will happen.
Uh-huh,
In
uh-huh.
Belize City, there's three parties, which Mr. Torres did run. I believe he ran again. So I think there's at least 4 mayoral candidates. I think so. So I've been looking at those instances, and I personally still feel that the incumbent, I think they'll still do okay.
Do you think there'll be some split tickets where you get some mixture of party?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I hope so. I hope
more
so. I
likely.
think that a mixture is not a bad thing. Some people
Yes.
say, okay, well, they will not work together. I'll tell you, when I ran under the UDP banner, I remember Carlos Obia Galvez. I believe he was the only PUP mayor. He won in PG. And we worked good together. Carlos and I, we were good friends. Carlos was friends with all the others. You know what I'm saying? So, but but you get to hear a different side, and I'm
Yes.
always somebody that, I care to hear from the other side, and that can only happen when you don't want a landslide such that
Yes.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just once
Do what they want. They
do
feel
what
like
they
they can do
want.
it. Yeah.
Exactly, Gina.
Yeah.
That won't be the optimal for us. That won't serve us well.
Zenaida, please come back. Please come
Definitely,
back and do a whole show, all right?
definitely,
Anytime you're ready, just make we know, and the door's open. All right.
definitely.
We're
Thank
out of
you.
time, guys. Let's see what happens. So you don't have your prediction is that you think the blue will stay in power.
I'm hoping that there will be a mixture. That's my hope. I'm hoping. I don't like that landslide thing. It's
Yeah.
beautiful if you're on that side, but I just don't think it's the best thing for
But
the
again,
country.
let's be real. The opposition has not been putting up the very best candidates. I mean, we don't see no Zenaida Moyo in there. So let's see what
Yeah,
happens. No,
yeah.
uh,
Let's see what
we
happens.
stay hope, keep hope alive. People, thank you
That's
very
right.
much for joining us once again. We'll see you next week,
If
same
you
time.
don't believe it, take a picture and freeze it. Aluna gets room in a can release it. Watch how we steering, maneuver and balance it. One eye on the falls and still navigate it. When we taxi it, we no one will lick. We use our draw the people, they watch we like Netflix. So take your breath and please it, back and who believes it. Our real Rasta Piera here in this shit. Oh no serious like them virus. Nothing you can do fi catch up. So we know the quarry, we know the force. Babies and people help me sing me for us. Rasta we raise the people's champion. I realize Batman Rasta Piera make they know that just so we function. Organic conception, Rasta Piera moving like an army of one. People champion, the realize Batman Rasta Piera make they know that just so we function. Jaja plan, organic conception, Rasta Piera moving like an army of one. I see why it is. To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. No, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire. Please, that people, in the 23 yards, Berry King, La Ruta Maya history. Who are the baddest partner you ever see? Berries! Who? Berries! Yo, I see why this alongside the swingers. Yeah, me old star. Who am I win the battle? What are we win the war? We can do, we go to Kevlar. The burn is done. One time. Here we go. Fisher. Brand new. Rasta Beer is the people's champion. I realize Batman Rasta Beer make they know that just so we function. Jaja plan, organic conception. Rasta Beer moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize Batman Rasta Beer make they know that just so we function. Jaja plan, organic conception. Rasta Beer moving like an army of one. This year one yard, people, there's something we